the number. She's the woman at the center of a racially tinged firestorm involving the Obama administration, the NAACP, the website biggovernment.com, its founder Andrew Breitbart, and this network. The woman now says she doesn't know if she would return to her job at the Agriculture Department if it's offered to her, but moments ago on CNN, she accepted the apology of the White House. On Monday, the woman Shirley Sherrod, an African-American employee of the United States Department of Agriculture, resigned under what she described as pressure from the White House to do so, after the conservative blogger and activist Andrew Breitbart published an edited video in which she seemed to observers to admit to anti-white discrimination. Except we now know that video was edited to take what she said and twist it completely. We do not know who edited the video, only that it was posted at biggovernment.com. We now know her story was actually one of the life lessons learned, the importance of racial harmony, and her current mission to help the poor and disadvantaged of any and all races. The video taken completely out of context. It ran all over the interview and on television, including on this network. We on Studio V did not run the video and did not reference the story in any way for many reasons. Among them, we didn't know who shot it. We didn't know when it was shot. We didn't know the context of the statement, and because of the history of the videos on the site where it was posted. In short, we did not and do not trust the source. Now that the important questions are answered, we will play parts of it of note in just a moment so that you understand what this is all about. First, the Agriculture Secretary and the White House are responding to the controversy. You heard the responses there. The White House apologized to this woman, saying that they're trying to reach out to her, apologizing to the victim. Juan Williams is with us, a Fox News contributor. You may know him from the panel on Brett Baer's show, and a writer, correspondent for National Public Radio. The White House, it says it is not, but it clearly is obsessed with Glenn Beck and others.
No doubt about it.
I mean, anyone who doubted it can now stop doubting it. What happened was, according to Shirley Sherrod, she said on CNN, she said, they wanted me to resign my post. But she's like, I didn't do anything. They wanted her to resign, and they have her on the phone, and she's driving from one office to another in Georgia. She said a 3.5-hour drive. She drives a while, they call. The undersecretary called. Where are you now? Where are you now? Finally, she's 45 minutes outside of Athens, Georgia, I believe, and they told her, pull over to the side of the road now to resign from an edited videotape on a widely discredited website that has had inaccurate postings of videos in the past, edited to the point where the world was deceived. The NAACP had a copy of the video in its entirety, pushed for her resignation. She says the White House, she says that the voice on the phone told her, the White House wants you to pull over and resign because, and I quote, you're going to be on Glenn Beck tonight. What in the world has happened to our industry and the White House?
Well, let me say, first and foremost, internet at this point is like an open sewer. Nobody's there exercising any kind of editorial judgment.
Some are.
Well, I think that some may be exercising it for malicious reasons. That's why you would edit a video like this, which is basically a story of redemption. This is amazing grace. You know, this is someone who said, you know what, I have seen the light and I've come back.
Let's give a little more of that, because some of our viewers may not know about this. This woman's father was murdered by a white man.
Correct.
At a time and in a place where white people murdering black people happened, and where she said in her speech to people there, where she said nobody was ever punished.
Zero. This is American history.
She's like, this messed me up.
Yeah, and she says,
and years later.
Also, she says, there was evidence, and I think everybody viewing us this moment, Chef, will know that black farmers in America suffered tremendous discrimination at the hands of farm bureaus throughout the South. As this whole agriculture sector of our economy was shrinking, black farmers couldn't get help, and there is a huge lawsuit out there, and she says black farmers weren't getting help. This guy comes up to me, this Roger Spooner guy, and he's talking to me. He sounds like he's talking down, and she says, at first, I did not give him the full force of my efforts to help him, a struggling farmer. But then she said, I realized that what I was doing was wrong, and she not only helps him, but to this day, in fact, yesterday, Eloise Spooner, Roger's widow, says they wouldn't have the farm if it wasn't for Shirley Sherrod.
So somebody, and we don't know who, I can't know who, we'd love to know who, edited this video maliciously. Clearly.
Right.
It ended up on the internet. It was picked up by many organizations, apparently including some locations here. But then the White House, this notice to her, the White House wants you to pull over and resign because you're going to be on Glenn Beck tonight. How can is that how it is at the White House now? How can they lead and govern if what they're worried about is something that happens on a cable news channel, which they've already said doesn't matter? They've already discredited I don't understand.
Well, obviously they're watching it. But I think it's wimpy that they're going to try now to point at Fox or anybody else when they are the White House, they're the presidency of the United States. They could have gotten a copy of the tape. According to Shirley Sherrod, she was told that the direction was coming from the White House, that the White House was telling agriculture, have this woman resign because she is guilty of racism, and I think they were reacting to the now week-long struggle over things like, is the Tea Party racist? And is it unfair of the NAACP to condemn the Tea Party, the arguments over the new Black Panther Party and the Justice Department? Has the Justice Department engaged in an act of racism that they would punish white people who were intimidating voters, but they won't punish these black guys who are dressed up in camouflage? And all these things have been all of a sudden percolating, and the fear was that Glenn Beck was going to pick up on Shirley Sherrod and hammer the White House as a black president and a black attorney general who are now engaged in some kind of retribution against all white people in America. And I think this White House freaked out. That's what happened.
And in fact, what happened, this segment was not on Glenn Beck that night at all.
Right.
It did make it into prime time that night, and it was discussed. The only time it was on Glenn Beck was last night after we knew the context, and then you know what he said, this woman's got to have her job back. We're going to play excerpts from it. We're going to talk to Major Garrett at the White House. We'll continue with Juan Williams in just a moment on Studio B.
If you had a heart...
dismissed or asked to resign, and now they're reconsidering everything. You can see the White House, the briefing is still underway. There's Robert Gibbs at the podium. They're asking and answering questions on a number of different subjects. But one of the things that was discussed earlier was when Major Garrett asked him, was in fact the White House involved with the dismissal of this agriculture employee? Listen to how that went down.
She's under the impression, and saying publicly, she believes the White House did play a role.
And I think, as I said to Ed, that's not anything based on my knowledge.
So you're absolutely convinced that that did not happen?
I can only answer your question 3 times.
And you're actually only answering it once.
Well, I gave you the same answer 3 times.
All right. Is there going to be any effort put forward by the administration to let us talk to Cheryl Cook about what she did or did not say to Ms. Sherrod?
I'm directing the USDA about speaking to us. Again, I'm directing you asked the same question, I give you the same answer.
And we'd like for everyone to look over here. Cheryl Cook is the person who was on the phone, according to Ms. Sherrod, as she was being told to pull over and resign as a result of a tape, which took her words and twisted it into something it absolutely was not. Juan Williams is with us again, Fox News contributor, NPR correspondent. You wonder, does this just go away? Do we get to the bottom of this? The heads roll? You would think some sort of statement has to be made. If the White House thinks this thing is over, it doesn't think this is over. This isn't over.
This thing is far from over. I mean, there's so many little parts, but I would say the big part is this: President Obama. President Obama has not reached out to this woman. She said she's got a phone. She'd like to hear from him. She'd like to hear from the White House. She'd like to know that people have taken a second to truly understand that she has been personally hurt. She has been vilified unfairly. This is an injustice. And it's another injustice that has to do with race and with the White House fears, apparently, as you say, of Glenn Beck. It has nothing to do with any reality of what she did. She's not hurt anybody, black or white. And, of course, the irony is the NAACP, they jumped all over it. They added to the pressure. I mean, it's unbelievable. In this country, when it comes to race, you can get a confluence of people who say they're standing up for justice and rights, and they're walking all over a simple human being. I think she's 62 years old.
62. She said, I am past this. She accepted the White House's apology live on CNN.
K.L. Brown video.
I have gotten past a lot in my life. Her father was murdered.
Man.